So I want to thank everyone for being here. Now look, for too long, families here in New York, upstate New York, and in the rest of the country have been caught at a red light with no end in sight. As the Bob Johnson workers will tell you here, because there's a national chip shortage, car sellers can't get the inventory they need, and that has hurt our economy. Dealers have a backlog of months, the models end up being more expensive, and people are frustrated and don't know where to turn. What's happened? Because of this, it's also caused the used car market to skyrocket in cost. Because when people can't get a new car, they go for a used car. 1/3 of the core inflation in this country last year was due to the high price of automobiles. And why is that? Because we are short of chips. This chip shortage is driving up prices, driving up wait times up to 6 months a year to get your car, and driving Rochester families, Rochester Finger Lake families, and Western New York families up against the wall. But I come with good news that's going to hit the gas, because help is on the way to fix the national chip shortage. This week, the bill that I wrote, along with Senator Todd Young of Indiana, he's a Republican, I'm a Democrat, it was a bipartisan bill all the way. Chip shortage is not a Democratic thing or Republican thing, it's a problem for all Americans. This bill was signed into law by the President. You may have seen, I was there, I got to speak at it, I had the honor of speaking. And the bill is going to greenlight our supply chain of chips, get rid of those woes. It's going to have manufacturing of chips come back to America, no longer go to China. We invented the chip. Our American genius created it. 20 years ago, we manufactured close to half the chips. Now we manufacture around 10%. And that shortage, and it's a national security issue also, because of China and the closely related island of Taiwan have all the supply of chips, and they cut it off, our economy would come to a screeching halt. So this is a great day that we'll have this bill. The main reason we're in this crisis is we currently don't make chips in America. And so 75% of all the chips come from East Asia. Because of the pandemic, and because we were barely able to make any domestic chips here, auto manufacturers had to hold production. There were layoffs at Tonawanda and at the Ford stamping plant, also in Buffalo. What does my bill do? CHIPS Act, it's called CHIPS and Science Act. It provides over $50 billion in federal incentives to have the chips made here. We say not only do they have to make the chips here, but they can't make any more of them in China. And that is very, very good for America. You know what we're saying? We want to build the future in Batavia, not Beijing. In Syracuse, not Shanghai. So I wrote this legislation with upstate in mind. And because there's no place in America that stands better to benefit from making chips here in America than upstate New York. Another thing that happened in that bill is we're encouraging electric cars. I have talked in very strong terms. I try to use my clout as majority leader to the head of GM and the head of Ford to say when electric cars come, we want jobs here in New York, in Western New York. And already they've announced one major component of electric cars going to be made at Lockport, and that's going to bring about 280 new jobs to Lockport. I was here announcing that about 6 months ago. So we did that. So that's the bottom line here. We're going to deal with the shortage of cars by dealing with chips, because the chips are needed, and we're going to have lots of benefits for people here in Western New York and in Batavia and Genesee County.
And I'm Brad McAreevy. I'm the president of the Rochester Automobile Dealers Association. We represent a little over 100 franchise dealers throughout the Finger Lakes region. Because these men and women assume the economic risk of owning and operating these dealerships, and it is quite a risk, approximately 5,000 people throughout the Finger Lakes region have jobs, and these are good middle-class jobs here at home. You don't need a college degree to thrive in a dealership. These are careers, not jobs. Some dealership employees have decades of experience. Some sons and daughters of the employees are now working in dealerships. Each year, these dealerships generate millions of dollars in federal, state, and local tax revenue. The investments of the dealerships in the Rochester region are replicated in thousands of communities around the country. providing more than 1 million people with a pathway to middle-class employment and contributing literally billions of dollars in tax revenue. These businesses are resilient, they're inextricably linked to the local communities that they serve. When COVID hit, they found a way to meet the transportation needs of people here in Rochester. And when the chip crisis hit, they found a way to make the best out of a bad situation. The severely constrained inventory of new vehicles is the most glaring symptom of the supply chain crisis and the chip shortage. We all need a return to normalcy at dealerships here in Rochester, the Finger Lakes region, and in communities all across the country. We know the manufacturers are making the best of a unique set of circumstances, and we hope that this legislation lays the foundation to reduce the severity of future disruptions. We appreciate Senator Schumer's leadership role in addressing this critical supply chain issue that is now facing our industry. Thank you very much, Senator.
Thanks,
we
Brad.
appreciate it.
Thank you and all the good workers at our auto dealerships. Very nice people. Okay.
It's interesting, AAA is actually out with brand new research today that exacerbates some of the issues that Senator Schumer just illuminated a few minutes ago. For more than 70 years, AAA has issued a report called Your Driving Costs. It looks at the average costs of owning and operating a new automobile. According to the latest research, the average yearly cost to own and operate a vehicle in 2022 has climbed over $10,000. That's approximately $894 a month. The report shows that fuel prices are pushing up the cost of ownership this year, while the semiconductor chip shortage is creating low inventory for new vehicles that Senator Schumer illuminated a second ago. The chip shortage obviously makes it difficult for manufacturers, and it also makes it more difficult for consumers to buy vehicles. Our report is just one example of how AAA tries to educate car buyers who are impacted by the chip shortage, which has created this imbalance in supply and demand. As an advocate for traffic safety and a club for motorists, AAA supports the efforts to increase chip production, especially in the stamp program here in Genesee County. Drivers deserve the right to purchase new and safe vehicles that fit their needs. This impacts many of us personally, including myself, but it also impacts AAA in the sense that we are waiting for cars and trucks to help help service our members, which is
We need you. We all use you.
Thank you. Yes, over 800,000 members here in New York State. We appreciate the support from Senator Schumer's office to address the chip shortage and provide relief to car buyers. Hopefully, this will alleviate the low inventory that has been predicted through 2023. Thank you again for allowing us, AAA, myself, to participate in today's event.